and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. So I want to save people a lot of time, right? I want to save people a lot of, days of wondering what happened, who's to blame, what went wrong. All you got to do is watch this video. That's it. I think I'll be able to explain exactly what happened. So first off, I want to talk about the good from this game if I can. Sometimes they say, even I say, there's no moral victories. There are no moral victories. But I just want to point out some things for the New York Giants. We were told going into this game that the Denver Broncos were the best defense in the league. And that was the third time that we heard such things about a team. We heard about the Chargers, we heard about the Philadelphia Eagles. And with that being said, this offense still moved the ball at will for most of the game. One thing that I know for sure right now, after playing the Denver Broncos, is Andrew Thomas is fully back and that dude and playing at an all-pro level. For the people that called us delusional for saying that Andrew Thomas would neutralize Nick Bonito, where was Nick Bonito yesterday on the milk carton? I don't know where I saw him at the end of the game. I saw him on Twitter. That's why I didn't see Nick Bonito in the game, but I did see him on Twitter last night. And this morning, possibly. But I didn't see him on the field, but never mind that. Salute to the Denver Broncos. So we know that about Andrew Thomas. Jackson Dart is a future franchise quarterback for the New York Giants. We have to do things the right way. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Not even later. This video won't be that long. We learned that the rest of his offensive line can hold up. I'm not afraid of anybody, even with JMS being out. Austin Schlottman. I'm hearing people call him Schlottman now. I thought his name was Schlottman. It doesn't even matter. The offensive line held up. Did you see the size of the hole Pauls made on that Tyrone Tracy touchdown? By the time it was halftime, I saw a tweet saying, what are we going to name this duo of running backs that we have between Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbull? I replied, I said Tango and Cash. Some people might not get that. For the people that do, salute to you. But I also learned with that situation is that Denver Broncos game versus the New York Giants ended in a miracle, which means that God came down from the heavens and said the Denver Broncos are going to win this game. There's no other explanation for it. Historical stuff happened yesterday. Historical stuff happened. We probably won't ever see anything like this ever again. This is going to be forever in the record books for the NFL. That's the type of game this was, or I should say, that's the type of ending to the game this was. A miracle. And the last time I checked, only God performs miracles, and God saved the Denver Broncos. Denver Bronco fan base wild this morning, rightfully so. Salute to you guys. You guys won. But some of the comments that I'm seeing, the Denver Broncos put belt to ass. How do you put belt to ass when you were losing the whole game? I saw somebody said the Giants never had a chance, and that just blows my mind. Who's really delusional? But never mind that. The Denver Broncos versus the New York Giants reminded me of Rocky IV. But in this case, the Broncos were Rocky. The Giants were the Big Russian. That's it. If you catch the reference, cool. That's another old one for the people out there. Rocky IV. We pummeled the Denver Broncos for the majority of the fight. And then right at the end, the miraculous comeback happened. So for me, in getting to the end of this game, that's where I want to talk about what I want to talk about. You would think that a defensive coordinator who was in a similar situation in week 2 would make some subtle adjustments. You would think that a DC who was missing one of his starting safeties and his cornerback one will do things a little bit differently. I saw a video of Brian Burns walking through the tunnel back to the locker room after the game, visibly upset. I saw reports from Pat Leonard saying that Brian Burns was at the point of tears at the locker room. That's how upset he was. Some people called it tantrums. No, some people never played a sport before. Some people never gave it their all just to lose. That's not a tantrum. That's emotional. That's emotional. So I don't want to hear this tantrum stuff with Brian Burns. But what Brian Burns said is that I'm tired of this ish. What are we doing dropping 8? And for the people, this is simple math. If you're dropping 8, that means you're only rushing 3. The New York Giants rarely get pressure rushing 3. In one of the most important plays where you need to get pressure on the quarterback, you only rush 3. And guess what? Not one of those 3 rushers was named Dexter Lawrence. Why? Because Dexter Lawrence had a front row seat on the sideline watching that play. Are you kidding me? My focus is not on the players and this defensive collapse, kinda, not with the players. My problem is with the decision making at the end of these games. From the DC, from the head coach, from the OC, whoever's in charge, but it's one of those 3 guys. I called those guys the Three Stooges in the video last night. I apologize for the name calling, but I still feel the same way. Because at some point in time, you're fumbling, just like who? The Three Stooges. At the end of the game, we dropped 8, rushed 3, and it didn't work. It didn't work. On the first play, it didn't work. Bo Nix has 4 seconds back there to find somebody, throws up the prayer, and I watched a number of Giants players not make a play on that ball. Then after that, when they were running up to the ball, Brian Burns, who we know had a hurt foot, he had to lead the game and come back with a hurt foot, is having trouble getting back to the play, and he gets hit with a flag for being offsides. The New York Giants were sitting on a timeout, and nobody on that coaching staff said, whoa, look at the clock. Brian Burns is back there. We should call a timeout. Nobody said that. Brian Dable didn't call a timeout. What did we do? We gave him 5 extra yards. Remember what the goal was. The goal is for them to win by a field goal. That's what you can do. You get the field goal, you win. Not you get the field goal, you tie. You get the field goal and you win. And we gifted them an extra 5 yards. But that didn't even matter. You know why that didn't even matter? Because the Denver Broncos kept their foot on the New York Giants' neck, and they went for another chunk play. And they had man-to-man coverage. Tay Banks, I believe it was Cortland Sutton, and Tay Banks can't even get his head around again. And why is Tay Banks even on the field? Obviously, the CB1 was hurt, but again, that's our option. That's our depth. And all of the weaknesses that we've seen time after time with Tay Banks happened. So now the Denver Broncos line up, they kick the field goal, they win by 1 point. In one of the most miraculous comebacks in NFL history, and the New York Giants are a part of 2 miracles. The MetLife miracle and now the Mile High miracle, or whatever they want to call this comeback. The focus is on the coaching. The focus is on the decision making from the GM to the head coaches to the coordinators. That's what the focus is. The GM decides what players are on the team along with the coaching staff. The GM decides who they need to add between these games when the coaches are focusing on the game plan. That's the GM's job, and the scout's job is to find talent. And that's why is Jude McIntyre on the team? Because the last time I checked, if you score 5 touchdowns and you get 5 extra points, that's 35 points. So if you just make your extra points, the New York Giants still win this game because a field goal does not win it. A field goal doesn't even tie it for the Broncos in this situation. They would have had to go for the touchdown, and it would have been about 1 second on the clock. And it would have been us defending the goal line instead of defending a field goal. And we see what happens. The New York Giants steady lose by field goals. And the funny thing is, I still feel like I'm upset. I felt better this morning, and now that I'm talking about it, I feel myself getting more upset, so I'm going to wrap this thing up. The bottom line is this. I should be celebrating Jackson Dart today. I should be celebrating Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson, the tight ends, for stepping up again today. I should be celebrating Wan'Dale Robinson. I should be celebrating Brian Burns for being a sack leader right now in the league. I should be celebrating a W right now and being 3-4 and still in the hunt in the NFC East. But instead of that, to the play of the Denver Broncos and their fan base, I'm holding an L. And it's because of the decisions made at the end of the game. I need coaches that have put players in the correct position to succeed, in the right position to succeed. That's what I need from my coaching staff. I need a GM that brings the best talent in on his team, which for the most part he has. But we've also seen where he hasn't. And the places that he hasn't end up biting us in the ass. What are we going to do? So far, it's noon. Well, 12:30 on the East Coast. There are no reports of anybody being fired. Who knows what happens? Maybe somebody got fired while I was recording this video. But right now it is 12:35. Sorry, 12:37 on the East Coast. And I have no news from the New York Giants. Might have been a late flight. People might be tired. Maybe they gave them the day off. I don't know what happened, but we should have some news. And the news should be either everybody's safe or somebody got fired. That's what the news should be. And hopefully we get that news soon so I can react properly to that. But that's just my point of view. The New York Giants are competitors. I'm not calling them contenders, but they are competitors. There's not another team or any other team or any team, I should say, in this league that scares me at all. I think we can play with anybody, even with the current weapons that we have right now. I feel that highly. I think that highly of Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbull and the energy that they bring. I feel that way about this defense as well. Bad coaching, well, I should say good players sometimes are able to overcome bad coaching, but it can't happen every time. John Mara got to make a decision. Joe Shane got to make a decision, even though I don't want him to be the one making the decisions. But again, it is what it is. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. On to Philly. Let's go.